In the name of Almighty Allah, the entirely merciful and especially merciful, welcome back, dear students, to today's lecture. I hope you are all doing well with your family members and friends. Dear students, in previous lecture we studied a sequence of project report. I hope you fully understood. Today we'll be discussing. The remaining part of fourth lecture or sequence of project report. So let's get on with it. The very first thing we are going to study today is a literature review. Now, dear students, what is literature review? Before I start explaining how to write literature review, what you have to consider while writing literature review, I would like to tell you that what's literature review. Remember, the students, that a literature review is an overview of the previous published works on a specific topic. Suppose that the topic that you are going to further have research on is actually studied by the other people, or the research has been done on it, or books are written about that. So in simple words, a literature review means all the data, all the study or research which is available on a topic, or we can say how much study has been done upon the topic that I'm going to further elaborate it. So we say that literature review is actually the data which is available about the topic or on the topic that you are going to further explain it. So like how much study has been done on the topic. So this simply means a literature review. It means how much data is available on the topic. So you just make a review of all of them. This is called literature review. So producing literature review is often a part of graduate and postgraduate student. Okay, so most often including the research papers and dissertations, we have this literature review, as I explained in previous classes. So, or it's also written on a journal article. So I would simply say that producing a literature review often a part of graduate and postgraduate student work, including the preparation of a thesis, dissertation, or a journal article. So remember that a literature review is most often prepared for a thesis, a dissertation, or journal article. Literature reviews are also common in a research proposal, or research proposal, or the document that is approved before a student formally begins dissertations or a thesis, right? So this is literature review, dear students. So we also say that a literature review evaluates the current work with the previous one. It depicts the current implementations that overcome the previous problems and limitations of the project, and it draws the attention and focus on the foreknowledge work that would be conducted based on the ongoing work at present. So remember that it must be clear and simple to understand. So now we say that literature review, as I said, as I explained that what's the literature review. The purpose of literature review is it gives you information about the topic, the information which has been available, or which the researches which have been done on the topic that you are going to further elaborate or further conduct research on this topic. So the students that in the literature review, you survey existing research on your topic. As I said that literature is something which is available from the past, or which it's a data which is collected or which is researched by the other authors or the researchers. So it's actually a survey on existing research. The research has been done by somebody else, and you want to review that research. So it's called literature review on your topic, the topic that you are going to further elaborate or further conduct research on. Developing a coherent structure and argument that leads to a clear basis justification for your own approach. So it just develop a coherent structure, a structure which is related to that, and it also develop argument. These coherent structured argument will lead you to clear basis of justification. For example, it referred to the clear basis. What is not explained, where is the gap, or what needs to be further elaborated or further researched. So, and justification as well for your own approach, so it gives you a gap, it gives you an idea that this is the data is actually not available on this topic, so you have to do it, you have to conduct a research on this topic. So in simple words, the literature review gives you an overview, it gives you a review upon the topic, the data which is available on the topic that you are going to choose, or you will conduct a research on it, or you do research on it. So for discovering the new things on the existing topic, you should study the literature review and find the literature review that how much data was available, or how much data is available, or how much data has been collected upon this topic. Okay. Now, you have to keep in mind these things in your, while you are writing a literature review. The first one is describe how much research has been done into your topic and what kinds. In literature review, in survey of the literature review, you have to survey this literature review. Describe how much research has been done. So in literature review, you have to explain, while you're writing a literature review for your own research, you should describe that how much data has been done into your topic. It means how much research has been done, how much data is available on this, and what did you study, and how much literature is available on the topic that you are going to further explain it, and what kinds. It means that in simple words we say that describe the research which has been done on this topic and what kind of research has been done. We should explain these two things, these 2 points in literature review as well. The second side is synthesize key findings from relevant studies. Synthesize, it means collect, or we can say yes, collect in order the key findings from the relevant studies. For example, the studies the research has been done on your topic by somebody, so you have to collect relevant study from that one and make mention of that in your literature review. So synthesize means collecting the main points. Assess the strengths and weaknesses of previous research. So it means, assess means find, simple words. Assess or find the strength and weaknesses of the previous research. The research which has been done on the topic, find out the strength and the weakness of the previous research. What is the weakness of the research which has been conducted or which has been done into our topic or on our topic? What is the strength? You should make mention of that, and then the weakness of that. So strength is already it's acceptable. You don't have to do anything with the strength, but the weaknesses, you should conduct research on the weakness. That okay, now there is a weakness, and I can further elaborate this, or I can conduct research on this, or I can do research on it. So that's what I say, that you have to make mention of the previous research somebody has done. For example, Ahmad has done a research on programming, or we can say on management. Now you have to do what? You have to find the strength of the research which has been done by Ahmad, and also find the weaknesses of it. If you find the weakness, so you will be able to further elaborate that one. The next one is highlight any gaps or limitations in existing report. Suppose there is a report available, or a report has been done on your topic. So study that report and then highlight the gap. For example, you say I studied Ahmad's report, and that report had this gap, or that report has this gap, or this gap is available in that report, or this is the existed gap on his research. So now highlight that one and also point out the limitations. So for example, the research which is available, the research which existed on this topic has these gaps and limitations. You should make mention of them, highlight them in your literature review. Okay. Now, the next one is literature review. That was what? Survey the literature. The next one is literature review. Show how your research show how your research does one or more of the following. So show that your research has these things, right? I mean, these things are available in your research. The first one, address a gap in the literature. As I said previously, that the gap which is available on the existing research. There is a research, but that research has this gap. So you should clearly state that gap in your literature review. The next one is takes a new theoretical or methodological approach to the topic. Now, what new theoretical and methodological approach have you chosen to your topic? Suppose this research has been done on this one, but that methodology was this way, and the methodology of the report which was conducted is this way, and now I am going to conduct these theoretical and methodological approach. I will pick up these approaches on the topic. The previous approaches are these approaches were available, and the new approaches, new theoretical or methodological approaches that I'm going to take them. You should make mention of them in your literature review. The third point is proposes a solution to an unresolved problem. As I said that, you just highlight the gap here. Highlight the gaps and limitations, right? But here you have to propose a solution to the unresolved problem. The research which is available, the research which has been done on your topic had these problems. These problems were not resolved. These problems are left unsolved. Now you should propose the solution for the problems which is available on that. It means that you have to find out the gap and then offer or recommend solution of in the literature review about that. The fourth point is builds on, strengthens existing knowledge with a new idea. Remember that literature review means the data is available, right? How much data is available? The data which is available, as I said, or the research which has been conducted by somebody else. But make mention that how will your research builds and strengthens the knowledge which is available with the new data. Suppose there is a research which is available, but how that research, how you will provide new data on the research which is available. So you find out the gap, find out the limitations, highlight the limitations and gap, and then try to build and explain that how you are presenting, you are strengthening, or you are building on the existing knowledge with your own idea or with your new data that you are going to conduct upon it. In simple words, that explain in the literature review that how you are going to increase or we can say strengthen the existing knowledge with a new data. New data means your data. Advances the theoretical debate. So the theoretical debate which is available on the research. How do you advance that? How do you improve that? How do you elaborate it furtherly through debating, through conducting researches or distributing questionnaires and other things? We studied the methodologies. So advance the theoretical debate. Theoretical debate, suppose there was a theoretical debate available on the researches, but you want to explain one of the part of those researches available. So you have to advance that theoretical debate by giving your own opinion or conducting your own research. The other one is once you are done with these, first, survey the literature. Second, show your research does one or the following. Make sure that your research does one of these fives, okay? And then present the literature review. Once you have made sure, the second thing you have to take, and the second step you should take it, present the literature review. How do you present the literature review? So discuss the theory that informs your research. In the literature review, you have to discuss the theory. The theory that informs your research. You should talk about the theory, the idea, the opinion which is available on your research. So inform that. Make the mention of it in your research, in your literature review. Define key terms and explain relevant concepts. The key terms which are used here, the terms might be important or the term might not be important. So we can say the term might be new term, completely new term, or the term might be obscure. So explain those terms and the relevant concept, the concept which are relevant, just make explanation of them. Make an explanation of the relevant concept available in your literature review, support it there and present it there. Present any relevant models that help interpret your findings. Present any relevant models. Suppose the models that you are taking to conduct your research, you should present that relevant. Okay, any relevant models you have to present that. Make mention of the models that you are using, or you have used, or you are using in your research, and also show that how did you interpret the data and findings. What model have you used? What models have you used to interpret your data and findings? You should make the mention of the models that you used while you were conducting the research or while you were doing the research. And how did you interpret the data? How the data was interpreted, right? What methods did you use to interpret the data? So you have to make mention of that and explain these things in literature review. Okay. So the next thing is conclusion. I talked about conclusion in previous classes as well, but here we will study a little in detail. What's conclusion? So remember that conclusion is a part in a research which ends the research and reminds the reader about, or audience about, the main idea of the research. Okay, so we say that the conclusion and recommendation part, like both parts, conclusion and recommendation part, summarizes the whole report by highlighting all the chapters and their significance and the importance of the project and achievement. So as I said before, that conclusion ends that. Okay, it summarizes. So it says that the conclusion is the last part of your main text. What is conclusion? It's the last part of your research or your main text. It's the final part of your research. In other words, it's where you wrap up your dissertation or research, maybe thesis. So it's like wrap up means to end or to finish or to complete. It's where you just wrap up your dissertation or thesis. You're summarizing your main findings and recommendations. Remember that in conclusions, we just summarize the main findings and the recommendations that we have for it. Remember that in conclusion, we just summarize the findings or recommendations which we gave in during conducting the research or in our research. So it's just summary. It's the new information should not be available there. It's a summary of your main findings and recommendations. No new information or arguments should appear in the conclusion. Remember this, students, be very careful or be cautious while you are making mention of the new information. So the new information should not appear in the conclusion. The new information, the new arguments should not be available or mentioned in conclusion. It's just summary of what you have done in research. Okay, it's a summary of what you have done in simple words. So while you are writing the conclusion, you should answer the following research questions, or how you answered the research questions. So first is clearly and concisely state the overall conclusion that your research has led. Clearly and concisely state the overall. Remember, the students, that conclusion is written in concise words, or it's written clearly, shortly, concisely. Remember, dear students, it's written clearly, concisely, and what? And shortly. It is written in a few words. You don't have to make mention, or you don't have to explain things, or you don't have to summarize your findings and recommendations in details. Just in simple words and concisely. Overall conclusion that your research has led. What was the the overall conclusion of your research and how did you get them. You just make a statement, or you just state or assert the overall conclusion of your research which is led to you. What was the conclusion of your research in simple words? We should make mention of these things, and where? In research questions. So there was a question, research question. How did you solve those questions? Just make mention of that in concise words or concisely. Conclusion: reflect on the research. It reflects on the research. Reflects means it refers to the research that you have done. To what extent was your approach effective in answering your questions? Suppose there were research questions. What were there? There were research questions. You should explain. You should ask yourself that. You should ask yourself and then answer the question during writing a conclusion. To what extent was your approach effective? The questions which are available. To what extent that approach that you have adopted was effective while you are answering the questions. Suppose there were research questions, and ask yourself that approaches that I took, how much were they effective? I mean, what was the effectiveness? What was the effectiveness level of the approaches that I took answering my questions? Did the research raise any new questions or unexpected insight? Also, in conclusion, make mention that the research that I have done had breeded new questions or unexpected insight. You should make mention of these things as well. State this, reflect it on the research. Once you are done with this, you should move on to the make recommendations. Make recommendation means you can make recommendations for practice. Example, in a business or policy. You can make recommendations. What are your recommendations for practice? Is it recommended for business or policies? What was that? Recommend your policies there in for future research. Suppose you say that I have done this much research on the topic, now this is available, so somebody else should do it. Simple words. Frame practical recommendations as suggestions, not instruction. Frame practical. Their recommendations should be as suggestions. They should not be instructions. You don't have to instruct people while you are writing conclusion. You have to do it. You should, while you are giving suggestions should be in the form of recommendation. They should not be in the form of instruction. So therefore, I say that in conclusion, while you are making the recommendations, while you are recommending a suggestion, so the suggestion should be in the form of recommendation should be in the form of the suggestion, not in the form of instructions. Be specific about research recommendations. Specific about research. You should not talk about generally about your recommendations. The recommendations that you are making should be specific, related to the topic or related to an area. They should not be general or vague, or we can say too broad. Explaining how future studies can build on your conclusion. Suppose you have done a research and there was a limitation, there was a gap available. So just a little bit, like in concise words, highlight that, recommend that how future studies can build on your conclusion, like how other people can develop my research or develop other things about my research. So like the conclusion you have, you should make explanation or recommendation that in this area I have done the research, but this area is left. So if anyone is interested in conducting research or doing research, so these are my recommendations for them, for the researchers in future. So you should make mention of them in the research. So the final one is emphasize your contribution. So in the research, which is the last part of thesis or dissertation, show what knowledge you have contributed. Show the research, in research, the conclusion part emphasizes on the contribution, like how much help have you offered, what was your assistance to the available research. So show what new knowledge you have contributed. So in conclusion, we also concisely state the new knowledge that you have contributed on the research. Suppose there was research available and you just made mention of that research in literature review, but in conclusion you should also make mention of the knowledge, the new knowledge that you have contributed on this specific area. The next point is leave the reader with a clear impression of why your research matters. In conclusion, you should leave the reader with a clear impression of your research matters. Leave means give an insight to your clear insight or impression to your reader or the person who your audience, simple words, your audience, that why your research matters to them. So tell them that this research, talk about the importance of your research concisely in the last part, or talk about the new knowledge you have contributed in this area. So just leave the reader with a clear impression of why your research matters to them. So you should consider these points while you're writing the conclusion there, students. We are done with the conclusion part. Now let's move on to the summary. The summary is also one of the last parts of the research. A summary of a summary of about 1 page is provided at the end of your research. A summary of about 1 page. 1 page summary is provided at the end of your research. What is summary? It's the last part and gives the summary, or you can say it explains whatever has been discussed in the research in a concise words, or we can say concisely. But remember, when I say concisely, it doesn't mean that only unclearly. You should clearly explain it. Concisely, it means you should use strong words which can portray the full image or depicts the full image of the research. A summary of summary. Remember one thing: summary is 1 page. It's not more than 1 page, and it's provided at the end of your project. Suppose you have conducted research, or you have developed. You're writing a report. Project report. So the summary is the last page you should provide it. It's a 1 page written at the end of the project. The summary briefly summarizes the context, research aim or question. What does summary do? Summary briefly summarizes the context. Like context means whatever is there. It explains the research aim. It talks about the purpose of the research. Summary talks about the purpose. It answers the why question, and also the questions which are available there and how you answered them. These summarization. This summary is available where in the research. Research approach or methods and materials. It also talks about the methods that you have picked or approaches you have picked while you are writing the project, or while you are conducting a research, or you are doing a research, and what materials you have used, whether you conducted an experiment or you have done experiments or not, and what were the findings in conclusion in this in particular. So what were the findings and the conclusions of your research? It also summarizes all of them. In simple words, it answers the why question. Summary talks about the aim and purpose of the research. It also talks about the methods or materials you have used or you have adopted while you're conducting the research or writing project, and it also talks about the main findings, and also talks about the conclusion. What was the conclusion? It means result. So the third point says it should inform the reader about the highlights of your work. It should also state to your reader that what your work is done. It's written in highlight. It should highlight. It means points out. It should point out the work that you have done. You should give informative ideas to the reader about your work that you have done it. Summary is a short and concise statement written in your own words of the main points, ideas, concept, fact, or statements of another text. Summary is a short or concise statement. As I said on the previous slide, that summary is written on one page. So therefore, we say it's a concise statement, it's a short statement, because if you write it on one page, obviously it's a concise statement, not a detailed statement. Written in your own words. Remember that we are writing summary in our words, right? We don't have to copy the other people's words. We just write in our own word of the main points. We just say, or we explain the main points, ideas, concept, facts, or statements of another text in our own words. For example, if you are copying somebody else's research words, so you should say that in your own words. I know that idea should be picked of them. Suppose you say their ideas in your own words. Most importantly, you should write summary in your own words. The idea should be yours, but if you still get the chance or find the necessity to make mention of other people's ideas or quote somebody else's ideas, then you should say it in your own words, a statement of other people. A summary contains the general idea or main points rather than a lot of details. It contains the general idea or main points. It doesn't go in detail. Summary is never written in details. It just follows the general idea of your project or your thesis or your research, or main points rather than a lot of details. So it just highlights the main points. It focuses on the general idea, on the main idea, or on the main points rather than following the details. So it's like the main point should be there. It can be from a single source or a collection of related sources. A summary can be written from one source, a single source, or it can also be collected from different sources. It can also be a collection of different sources in concisely, and gives the reader background information. It also gives the background information. Background information means the information which is available there. It just gives the purpose, scope, informs that what's the purpose, what's the scope of this research or project reports. A good summary highlights only those facts and ideas, opinions, etc. that are useful for your topic. Suppose in your report or in your research you have talked about so many things. There are so many facts, ideas available about your research, but you should only make the statements of the useful ideas which are the most useful or which are more useful than the others. So suppose there are 10 or there are 20 opinions or facts or ideas. So you have to highlight only 10 of them or maybe 7 of them which are the most useful for your topic. It can support or contradict your argument, but don't distract your reader with irrelevant details. Like, it is also possible, the chances are that it can support or it can contradict. It can contradict means it can oppose. It can support, it can patronize, or it can contradict. It can oppose your argument. So contradict means disagree your argument. But remember that whenever you are supporting or contradicting your argument, you should contradict it in a way which does not distract your reader attention. It means that you don't have to distract your reader with irrelevant details, the details which are not related to the topic or to a report or your research. We shouldn't make mention of them. So you should contradict it in a way that does not distract your reader's attention. Next we have references. What are references? At the end of the report or paper, after the conclusion section or chapter, you include a reference list in which you list all the literature to what you have referred to your main text. So what is the reference list, dear students? We also call references or reference lists in some researches. So the reference list sometimes can also be called bibliography list. It's full of information on all of the sources cited in your research or report or dissertation. So reference list means from where you picked up the data. You synthesize the data, and you have to make the mention of those things. Remember that, for example, some of the people, when they take data from Google, so they just write at the end that the data was taken from this site, or these books were used there, or these methodologies, like not methodologies, but sorry. So it's simple words that you just write the names of the people that you use their books, also the data, where the source of data, where you took the data, or the literature that was available there and you picked up them. In simple words, you make mention of the references. Or you also talk about the format and exact information included there. You should cite, in references, you cite your report or paper, that which books you have used, or which sites you have used. You just make the mention of all of them. All references in the reference list should appear in the main text. A reference list should appear in the main text, right? All references in the reference list should appear. The reference list you are making should be available in your main text. So suppose in your main text you just picked some of the data, or you just picked some data from one side, or for example the Harvard University conducted or has done a research. You should make the mention of that this research was conducted this time and this one. You just make a list of the researches, okay, and you should just make the list of those researches that you have used them in your main text, not research which is not available. The reference list is not a chapter, so it's not numbered. As I said, it's not a chapter, it's just a list. It's a list, it's not a chapter. The list of the data that we used, name of those books or researches. So do not number it, it's not numbered, okay? Because it's not a chapter. Just as a summary, the reference list is ordered in alphabetical order. Like a summary, it's ordered in alphabetical order, like from the A to Z in order, right? Alphabetical order. So you should focus on the alphabetical order. So what is appendices, or it's also called appendix, appendices, or it's called appendix. What is it? It's actually the appendix, documents that contain, it's actually documents that do not fit into the main body of your research report or dissertation, but that may be useful to your reader, such as interview transcript or full questionnaire or tables with the raw data can be added as appendices. So suppose that there was the data, you used the materials, you used them, and that's very important for the reader. The reader must know about it, so you cannot put it in the main text. So instead you just write it at the end of the research. So this is called appendixes, okay? Suppose you are using the interview script, you just pull the full questionnaires at the end, you attach with them. It's called appendixes. So it also says that the first one, appendix, contains materials that would be obscure. Obscure means unclear. So obscure, we say that not known to many people. Suppose you have used some of the terms which are not clear for everyone, or not clear and difficult to understand or see. So what you do, there are tables you have used, there are full questionnaires you have used, or the materials you have used. You should make mention of them at the end of what? At the end of your research. So unclear, the structure and message of the text, if it is included in the main text. Suppose the main text has the main text has a hint, or there you couldn't explain the full, but it needs to be explained, or the reader should know about this, or you just feel that the reader must know about these things. So about the tables, about the questionnaires that I have used during my research or report, you should just put them in your appendixes at the end of the research. Examples include tables of quantitative research. I told you the questionnaires, the tables of the quantitative research. You have conducted quantitative research, or you have done quantitative research. You should also include the tables of them in appendixes. It also has the results, examples of field observations. You went to the field, you observe things, and what you have observed, you can explain them in appendixes, or you can attach with them forms, observation forms actually, or computer code. The code that you use in computer, you should put them in appendixes. Page number. Always insert page number in your document. The page number should be available there, right? Your document should have page numbers. For the entire document, use the consecutive page numbers and Arabic numerals at the bottom of the page. So actually, you have to for the entire document, consecutive page numbers should be used in Arabic numerals, like 1, 2, 3. These are Arabics. Americans have copied them. You should use them at the bottom of the page. Oh, these are the checklists. The most important part of our report writing. I will explain them in clear or in concisely because I don't want to make the video larger. So remember, these are the checklists you should answer once you have written your report, and make sure that you get these questions answered, fully answered. First, clear objective of thesis and focus. So project is clear. If it's clear, you have to check it, right? A project has no errors. If you are sure that the project has no error, you have to check this. A project has a point of view. The point of view of the project is clear, or it has a point of view. If you are not sure or unsure about the point of view of the project or thesis, you should go to your research and make it clear. If you are sure, then check it. Purpose of the paper is clear. The purpose that you have set for the people or the audience, they can understand clearly without any difficulty. You have to check it. If you are unsure, you should make it clear. Project answers research questions. The research questions which were there, or which were born, or which were arisen, are answered. If they are answered, you have to check it. If they are not, you don't have to check it. Every paragraph relates to monograph. The paragraph that you have used about a topic in a monograph, they are related to one another. It means there is coherence among the paragraphs. The paragraphs are related. If they are not related, do not check it. So suppose it's not related, don't check it. Go and make them make coherence and then check it. Every paragraph supports monograph. The paragraph that you have used, there is a unity among the paragraphs in your research. If you think that the paragraphs are disunited, they don't support one another paragraph, you should go and make it clear and then check it. Organizations and cohesions. Clear introduction, body, conclusion. Make sure that the introduction you made is clear, and the body you have used is clear, and conclusion is also available. If it is not, do not uncheck it. If you think you did it, or you are sure you did it, then check it. Clear logical order of paragraph. The paragraphs that I have used are clear or written in logical order. It means there is a smooth flow of paragraphs or logical arrangement of the paragraphs in my research, in my monograph. Connections between the paragraph are related to one another. As I said earlier, the coherence, the paragraph, one paragraph smoothly leads to another paragraph. Then check it. If not, do not check it. The checklist. All sentences connect to each other. Sentences are connected to each other, check it. If they are not, you have to make it in a paragraph. Introduction. No sentence catches attention. The sentence you have used in introduction can catch the attention of the reader. Note to general statements. In introduction, you don't have to, as I explained in introduction previous lectures, that the too general introduction, you don't have to mention or state too general or broad statements. The test statements should be specific. Enough background information about the topic. In introduction, enough background information is provided about the topic, about your topic. Section idea is explained in introduction. The section's idea is explained. They are explained in introduction. Thesis statement is easy to find. As I said, that introductory paragraph is made of two parts, thesis statement and general statement. The thesis statement is easy to find. It means that the reader can easily find a thesis statement. In conclusion, connects to last body paragraph. It should be connected with the last body paragraph. Conclusion summarizes thesis and main points. As I said, that conclusion is the last paragraph or the last part of a research report, which reminds the reader about the main idea or the main points of the research or paper. No new superfluous information, new information is not available. So the information which is unwanted is not available there. Shows importance of the topic, that the conclusion shows importance, the purpose of the topic. Effective closing statement, the statement that the closing statement that you have choose is effective or not. Body. In body, each paragraph has only one point. Each paragraph, you make sure that each paragraph has only one point. Support is explained in analysis. The support for the introductory paragraph or thesis statement is explained or analyzed. Logical, convincing points support thesis. The points that you have made is actually logical, convincing, and rational about your thesis. Balanced source information and own ideas. The information you have used is balanced, or your own ideas which you have used in your research, they are balanced. Topic sentence. Remember that each paragraph has a topic sentence. What's topic sentence? We will study later. Each paragraph explains why and how. Each paragraph explains the purpose and the method, so why it is written and how it is written. The topic sentence relates to monograph specific explanation. The topic sentence is related to monograph has specific explanation. You should make clear this as well. If it is clear, then you have to put it. Topic sentence have point of view. Each topic sentence of the paragraph has a clear point of view. No repetition of ideas. Make sure that the ideas that you are using are not repeated. Not like irrelevant ideas or information should not be available. You are sure that irrelevant information is not available. Supporting points are in logical order or appropriate concluding sentence. They are logical, conventional, or they are written in logical order. Smooth flow in arrangement is actually clearly set. Source information is introduced. And each paragraph proves its topic sentence. Each paragraph proves its what? Its topic sentence. Last one is use of specific details as support. The specific detail support is used. Alternative opposing views, including source information, is integrated, or we can say alternative opposing views are available there. Okay, the students, this monograph checklist is very important. Before you submit your monograph, you have or report or paper, you have to go through the checklist and make sure every single thing which is given in this checklist is checked. And you are sure about it. If you are sure, check it. If you are not sure, do not check it. First of all, make it sure and then check it. This student, it was today's lecture. If you have any question, you are most welcome to put it forward. Stay safe, dear students. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you.